Good afternoon and welcome into the Pats Nation Patriots postgame show, the only Patriots postgame show worth watching. I'm Corso. CATONE is here. Joe's with us in the booth. And you are watching us on YouTube, live on YouTube. And hey, we got everything open for you guys. We got comment section open. We got the heated hotline in your live calls, 855-313-PATS, P-A-T-S, or 7287. So give us a call in this hour. We're going to be on. Want to hear from you. You can send us an email, of course, always, corso.catone@gmail.com. Week 2 of the NFL season sees the Patriots travel down to Florida, Miami, and beat I can't believe I'm saying it, Mark, but they win this game 33-27 over the Dolphins in a crazy ending to this game.
Yeah, it was crazy. It was crazy.
So, guys,
to win, I'll take it. It was a little ugly, but I'll take it. Win, right?
Welcome in, guys, gentlemen, to our post-game show. We're going to have everything today. We're going to have in Drake Mania. We're going to talk about Drake May and how his day was. We'll hear from him as well. And, of course, weekly rewind. We're going to go back, look at offense, defense, break those down. Coach's Corner, we'll see what they did right, did wrong. And we're going to have our Sunday stiff and our Sunday seat, somebody that can sit at us with the table today for dinner, and somebody who's going to sit outside. I think we probably know who that's going to be, But I'm excited, guys. I'm excited. We got our first win of the season.
Patriots. Yeah, listen, I was a little nervous. Got a little nervous at one point, but
So they improve to 1-1 now. Yeah. And next week Pittsburgh's going to come in. But Mark, let's talk about this one. And I think just give me your general before we get to Drake Mania. Give me your general impressions.
Defense, I was not impressed with the defense at all today. They got a lot of work to do defensively, Chris. A lot of work, a lot of holes to fix there. But offensively, listen, they did what we said they had to do. If anybody listened to Pats Nation last week when we previewed this game, we said they were going to have to establish the run. You said they're going to have to let Drake May be Drake May and let him do the things that make him who he is, which is getting out of the pocket a little bit, running, rollouts. They incorporated all of that today, Chris. He had a much better game, and they scored 33 points.
There you go. And then this is how it sounded.
Cushion on the left side as Tagovailoa takes the snap. He drops back. He looks down the middle. He's pressing. He's sacked by Melton Williams. Takedown in the backfield. And the Patriots on the verge of taking down Miami for the first time since 2019 here in South Florida.
The first time since 2019.
Yeah.
We beat the Miami Dolphins in Florida. Tua was 7-0 against us. And this thing went up and down. But I think we need to talk about Drake May first. We could break down the quarterback play. We're going to do it in Drake Mania. We're going to do it right now.
Patriots quarterback Drake May, what a thriller of the game. You've really turned up the heat, throwing for 230 yards. Ramondre Stevenson had an impressive game. How did you like your distribution and balance today?
Yeah, this ultimate team win. What a stop by the defense multiple times. We got in the ball on offense. We got to do our part. But full three-way game. Offense, defense, special teams. All play the part. It feels good to get it win.
How about Antonio Gibson with that 90-yard kick return touchdown, and then Andy Borregales with a 53-yard field goal to seal the deal? How clutch were those guys?
Yeah, just bouncing back from adversity. AG had one. He had one on the 2-yard line where he stepped out of bounds, and he comes back and return one to the house. Andy missed one early and a few extra points. They came back and kicked it. It's just battling. Just saying screw it, go win, and it feels good.
Your defense came up also really big with 5 sacks today, a couple down the stretch, and a huge interception. How much do they make your job easy?
Yeah, I used to get every day practice in training camp. Glad to see what's happened to somebody else, and those guys play hard, and they're great players up front.
That, of course, was Drake May post-game on the field after that, and he's pretty pumped up. He kind of, he gets amped up no matter what, Mark.
Yeah,
he's sailing balls a little bit, but he's pretty fired up. Yeah. And he should be. He was 19 of 23 for 230 yards, 2 touchdowns, no interceptions, which is the big deal. He was sacked 3 times, had 137 quarterback rating, whatever. But he ran the ball 10 times for 31 yards and a touchdown as well. Mark, you think, and you were talking to me during the game, letting me know, hey, I think that's the key to why he's playing well today.
Yeah. Yeah. That's that. What was the question? Was there a question there, Chris?
Talk about his running the ball. You said to me today during the game.
So
Such a smart ass, though. You know what I mean?
No, because I didn't, you
right
just
off the
I
bat,
don't know.
you want to be a
Joe,
smart ass.
I don't know what the hell he's talking about.
Yeah,
Joe.
we talked about the fact that they got to get him to be athletic. They got to get him to use his legs, and he'll get comfortable doing that.
So. And he did that today. And I think McDaniels designed some stuff to get him to get comfortable today. I think he must have watched the tape and realized what, we all saw last week, Chris. You said as soon as the game ended, he just wasn't comfortable with whatever they asked him to do last week. They got him comfortable. They ran the ball. They settled him in early on that first drive.
Yeah.
And that kind of set the tone for the rest of the game. Got
a little concerned coming out of the gate, coming into the second half in that first drive. They kind of stalled. I mean, listen, I'll give the kid a lot of credit today. Yeah, I will, because he heard it all week long.
He got his beans busted all week.
There's too much on his plate. He's not able to process it well. He starts off too fast. He's sailing the ball of a guy's head. He's missing open guys, and all of it was true. But I think he was able to go into that place, and that's a tough place to play in the heat and all that. I mean, I think sometimes we baby them too much, but whatever,
But I will say this, Chris. I did say on the show last week that me personally, I thought it was a little bit of an overreaction.
You did say that
on what people were saying. You remember, like we played God's take, and I said, Chris, listen, I know why he's saying it, but he's going to take a step back, and so you know what I mean.
Well, I mean, I've always maintained with this guy, and we talked about this in training camp coming into the season, saying, well, we don't want him to run. They don't want him running and, slide, get down, all that. I'm like, you don't want to handcuff somebody. You don't want somebody playing with one hand behind their back, because they use that to get themselves good in other spots and other places in their game. And I think the couple of guys, I think it's like what Chris Casper had to say this week is what he was trying to get at, which is like, you got to let him cook a little bit so that because it affects him. If he's always worried about, I can't get out of the pocket, I can't run, I can't do this.
Thinking too much.
It creeps into everything else.
Yes, it has to be instinctive. You got to let him use his instincts, and if he thinks there's a crease that he can run through, let him run through it. Don't tell him, no, we don't want you running because you're going to get hurt. You can't have him think he's just. It's got to be natural flow of the game, and just otherwise, Chris. Last week, he's overthinking it, because I think those things were probably in his head. You know what I mean?
Well, yeah, and I also think too, you see the second drive of the game we go to, and you see two runs of about 20 yards. I think one was like an 8-yard run, and the other one was like a 13-yard run. And it's just, you saw it. You just see him get comfortable. Now, the first drive of the game, he looked really comfortable. Now, I don't know if they scripted things, if everything was on a schedule,
Could have been.
But he was confident. He was comfortable. He looked decisive in where he wanted to go with the ball. He was accurate as hell today. Yeah,
he had a real good game. Accuracy-wise,
if you want to nitpick, which we like to do, he, on that goal line where the ball got tipped and he was trying to go to Hunter Henry, I think he zoned in on Hunter Henry, and it was easy to block. It's easy to bat down passes when that happens, when you're just keying in on one guy. But he had Henderson right in front of him, dragging across the goal line, and I think he was wide open. So, I mean, if you want to nitpick there, but I think he did, like I said, I mean, I think he showed a lot of poise.
He did. I
like
think he made the right decisions
that we keep thinking about, right, Mark?
Yeah. He made good decisions, Chris. When he had to get out of the pocket, he did. When he had to go to a check down, he did. He moved up in the pocket, Chris, on that wheel route to Stevenson. It was to Stevenson, I believe, right up the right sideline.
Yeah.
He moved well in the pocket. He moved up in the pocket to avoid the rush and found Stevenson up the sideline. Those were just things, Chris, that let you know he's comfortable today, and he's he's dialed in and settled in.
Yeah. So excellent job, I think, by Drake May all around. I mean, again, first half to second half. I mean, in the first half, the total amount, he threw for about 121 yards. He was 12 of 14 in the first half, and then he finished the game with 211 yards. He was 19 of 23. So he only threw the ball another 9 times in the second half. Threw the ball, 14 in the first, 9 times in the second. But he only missed 4 passes, and, I think one of those was a batted down ball. And, so really, really only 3. He had about 8 yards per pass. He was sacked 3 times, like we said. And that's the other thing, too. Talk about that a little, because it looked to me like he took the sack when he needed to take the sack. Where at times he got in a little trouble a few times, and he just tucked it and threw. And now last week he had somebody in his chops, and he launched that ball down to try to throw it to Diggs, and it ended up being a pick.
Yeah, I think he was pretty conscious today, Chris, of let's not force anything. Let's not try to, let's not, I think you're right. He did do that today. He was conscious of ball protection, take a sack, or, Yeah, he was. And he learned. Listen, the one thing that I think was good today, Chris, was there's no doubt that Josh, whoever, sat with him and went extensively through tape last week. And it showed it. The encouraging thing was, listen, I know it was the Miami Dolphins. Okay. So listen, you're not playing a Super Bowl contender here, right? However, he did show that he learned, if he's, looking at film from last week, because he corrected a lot of what everybody was criticizing him for, Chris. And like I said, I know it's the Miami Dolphins. However, you got to give the kid credit for today.
Absolutely. And then talk about, too, the last thing before we get to break. During the game, you were talking to me about how he looked in the pocket. He used to give Brady lots of, I'm not comparing him to Brady, okay? But, we used to give Brady lots of love about how mobile he was within the pocket.
And May did that today, Chris.
And he did
stepped
that.
up,
Saw it
went
a couple
side
of
to
times.
side a couple of times. Absolutely. A few times he did that today. He was mobile within the pocket. And I think, McDaniels preaches that, and he was mobile within the pocket today. Last year, Chris, mobile within the pocket, he was running out of the pocket way too quick last year. Remember? You were like, but Mark, he's going to sit in the pocket and look. And he didn't do that last year. Today, he stayed in the pocket, was mobile in the pocket, Chris, and looked downfield to try to see if anybody was there, hit his check downs, and that allowed him to hit that real route to Stevenson by sliding and moving in the pocket.
Absolutely. And so, and as I said, so he looked, like we said, he looked calm, he looked poised, and just comparatively, to the other side of the field. I mean, Tua looked second half much better than the first half. I mean, he was sailing balls over guys' heads in the first half. He was trying to, but he had anything he wanted in the middle of the field.
Yeah, he did. He did. And Chris, defensively, I thought we made Tua look pretty good, especially in the second half of this game. I mean, because but.
Well, we're gonna get to that when we start. When we talk about the, and I'm just looking. It looks like we get a chat in, but when we get to the defense, we get a lot. We definitely have a lot to talk about. But as far as the quarterback goes today, I think Drake May played really, really well. I think he outplayed Tua. The numbers ended up fairly even, but when they needed to drive, when they needed to play, he made the play. They came down and scored, Mark. So
yeah, they did. They definitely went down. They scored. And Chris, I'm going to be honest with you. I know we're going to criticize the defense, but the defense made the play that they made it to play. Make what that they did had to make at the end. They had to come up with a stop, and they came up with a stop. So both sides of the ball, we could say what we want. They did what they had to do, right?
Yeah. So good stuff from him. I give him a passing grade today. I don't know.
Oh, I give him. What do you give him? 4 grade.
We got something on the feed over here from Ryman Network about Drake May, just to finish the point. He says the announcer said this during the game that May just needs to get comfortable with McDaniel's systems, and that just takes time. So I agree with him. He just needs to get comfortable there. Just, go through the motions with the McDaniel system, and I think he's going to do all right.
Well, we appreciate that chat in that
Yeah.
whatever you call that, a chat into YouTube, whatever the hell that's called. But
Oh,
we
you
appreciate
dinosaur! You dinosaur!
Guy.
Shut up, But he's right. No, that's right. It's a good observation. It is going to
It
take
is.
time. We need to be a little patient. And Mark said that on Corso and Catone yesterday and the Pats Nation this morning. So good stuff. But Drake Mania was presented by Corso and Catone, the real deal New England Field, Saturdays, noon Eastern. Hey, make sure you're tuning in. We're going to have we're going to replay this post-game show this Saturday at noon coming up. So if you missed any of it, make sure you're tuning into that. But when we come back, we're going to go back weekly rewind, and we're going to use that to talk about the offensive breakdown, the defensive breakdown. Your call.
Guess what? I got a fever. And the only prescription is more
CORSO and CATONE.
Saturdays at noon.
Back in with more Pats Nation post-game show, the only Patriots post-game show worth watching. All right, guys, let's break this offense. Let's break this defense down. Let's do it in weekly rewind. Joe. I'm going back through the week. About a weekly rewind.
And that center is good. He nailed it. So the rookie, whose day began back home in Miami, inauspiciously converts that long field goal try.
Well, it looks like.
And that center is good. He nailed it. So the rookie, whose day began back home in Miami, inauspiciously converts that long field goal try.
All right, Mark. So that was the fourth down field goal that put him in the lead. Okay, let's talk about this. Let's talk about the offense here. Okay.
Yep.
Let's start with, and we talked about Drake May. Let's start with the offensive line. They allowed 3 sacks, but put the penalties aside for 1 second. Okay.
Yep.
How did you see that today?
Defensively?
Offensively, the offensive line.
Offensive line played well, Chris. Other than the penalties, I mean, Moses had 2 or 3 false starts. I mean, they got beat a couple of times off the edge, but they did, Chris, what we said. The strength of this offensive line, we talked about, you and I, during the week. We talked about during our Pats preview for Pats Nation this morning. We said the strength was the running blocking. Run blocking is the strength of this offensive line, and they showed that today, especially between the guards and between the tackles, Chris, especially between the guards. They were able to run the ball up the middle well today. Granted, they took advantage of Miami has a couple of guys out on the defensive line. A couple of the defensive tackles were out, but we took advantage of that, and we ran the ball. And that's what we wanted to see out of this offensive line, because that's the strength of this offensive line. And we saw that today. Stevenson, Gibson, Henderson at times. They tried to stretch Henderson a little bit, but they guard to guard was where their strength was today, So, I don't know. That's how I saw it.
Yeah, same. I did too. I mean, I thought that, look, I didn't notice, again, we got to talk about the penalties. I mean, we have to, but I thought Campbell had that 1 false stop penalty, but I thought he controlled things really well on that side. I thought both of them did. Again, Drake May was upright for most of this game, and there was a clean pocket for most of this game. And also in the run game, Mark. I mean, this is a team that you're talking about. This team rushed for 122 yards, okay, off 29 carries. So they came into the game wanting to run the ball, right?
Yep.
And they came into the ball wanting to run the ball. They did run the ball well, and it was pretty good. But I think we want to go to the phones now. It looks like we got a couple of calls on the line, huh? We got Steve from Colorado is calling in. Steve, what do you have? Welcome into the show. Hi, Steve. You there? Oh, Steve. Well, we'll come back. I can't hear Steve if he's on the line, but
we'll get back to him. He's waiting, but we'll get back to Steve.
We'll get back to that. But so yeah, with the offensive line, Mark, I think that they played well. I thought. Now let's talk about the penalties on the offensive line. Okay, we can't ignore that. I mean, this team.
It's unacceptable, Chris. We had what, 10, 11 penalties today? Again?
We had 12 penalties today.
12
penalties for 75 yards.
It's unacceptable.
And
You're
it was
not going
one.
to beat a good team with that many penalties, Chris. Listen, we played Miami, so I don't want to act like everything was perfect today. With 12 penalties, you're not going to beat a good team, Chris. With 12 penalties, you just won't. When we play better teams, you get 12 penalties, you're going to lose. You're going to cut that out.
No, I know, and a lot of it was, again, a lot of it had to do with in a row too. Look, you would see it happen. Like, for example, 3 on one drive. I think they had like two straight penalties on the offensive line, like 2 offensive holding calls and 2, So, Joe, do we have Steve there?
You have Steve, yeah. Steve, are you there?
Yes.
Steve, welcome into the Pats Nation. What do you got?
I'm not sure if he's hearing us. That's the key there.
I can hear you, Joe.
Okay, Joe, cue him in to
Ask him, tell him to give his take.
Just give your take, Steve. What's that? Give us your take.
One more time, sorry.
Give us your take.
Oh, thanks. All right. My one word for today is progress, guys. We would not have won this game last year. We are learning to win. We are learning to make plays when they have to be made. This is progress. Pass defense needs a lot of work, but we're learning to make plays when they have to be made. I'm very happy about today.
Well, that's great, Steve. We appreciate that. Thank you for the call. A little technical issue there, but thank you for the call,
I like
Steve,
that
in Colorado.
Word, though, Chris, progress.
Yeah, he makes a point. It is progress. He said a year ago. And again, it's tempering things too. You're talking about, he's a guy with a voice of reason, What
listen,
reasonable people, Steve?
Chris, listen, take away the last game of the season last year. We won't count that game. This is our first win since November 10th. Think about that. Our first win since November 10th. So Steve's 100% right. It's progress.
Yeah. Right? Yeah, a year ago we wouldn't have won this game.
He's correct.
Especially in Miami.
Oh, no. Forget it.
Talking about on the road in Miami and the heat, all that other stuff coming off that loss. And so, yeah, progress again. And then when you look at Drake May and you look at the offensive line, again, progress. But still a lot of stuff to clean up. Now, talking about the running backs today, how did you feel about Stevenson? So
go ahead, Chris.
11 carries for 54 yards. He averaged around 5 yards. I mean, he had a bad game. It wasn't a bad game, but
Stevenson had a good game for what, he had a very good game running in between the guards, and he caught the real route and he caught another ball for a first down. But you were screaming, get Henderson on the field, because at least one of those would have been a touchdown if it was to Henderson and not Stevenson.
It was a bubble. It was a little bubble swing pass coming out of the backfield. Okay. And I think it was on, I don't remember if it was on second down. I'm not sure.
I think he got like 12 or 13 yards, didn't he?
No. I'm talking about the swing pass to Stevenson that I was freaking out about when he caught the ball and, lost about 4 yards on the play. Okay. And I'm looking at that saying, okay, who do we want running that play? Because you could see the difference. I mean, every single time Stevenson touches the ball, good. I mean, good vision, so on. He played well today. But he's so damn slow getting into the hole, then you see Henderson, and he just hits that hole. And you see that 4.3 speed and that start to stop stuff happening right there. And that's
even Gibson, Chris, is more explosive than Stevenson.
Yeah. And Gibson carried the ball, 5 times for 27 yards. And Henderson only 3 times. He only got 3 carries. Now, Henderson and 2 receptions. So, I mean, again, you and I talked about coming into the season, Henderson needs to touch the ball 10 times a game.
Yeah.
If he's your number one offensive threat. Well, I mean, he touches the ball 5.
Yeah. He needs to touch it more than that. He needs to touch it 10, 12 times, 10 times. Because, listen, last year he wasn't even the full time. He split time last year with Judkins when he was with Ohio State. So he's not going to go from doing that to being touching the ball 20 times as a professional, Chris. You'll wear him out. He won't make 17-game season. He just won't. He's not used to that much activity. However, 10 times a game isn't asking a lot, Chris. 12 times a game, you limit him to that. It's not asking a lot. He only got five touches today. Can't do,
He's just too damn explosive because they're taking him away in the return game.
Yes, they are.
They're just kicking away from him at that point.
And listen, they did that today, and they paid for it. Gibson took it to the house.
Well, Gibson did take it to the house. I mean, we're gonna get on the special teams, in the next segment, and but I mean, they had the play. They came up with the play when they needed to. Boy, it was tough, but we'll get to that. So, the backs now, the wide receivers, Diggs, okay, because early on in the game, that looked like his go-to guy, did it not? I mean, he had five targets, 4 receptions, 32 yards. It's not like a huge game or anything like that, but
the wide receivers only had 64 yards total.
Yeah.
You're not going to win many
out of the 230.
Yes, you're not going to win many professional football games when your wide receivers only give you 64 yards of offense. So, listen, it was a win. It's progress. I'll take Steve's line. Booty caught a nice touchdown in the corner of the end zone in a one-handed catch going to the ground. However, you have to get more production from your wide receivers, Chris. They're going to have to get open. You're going to have to try to get the ball to them more than 64 yards. You can't win many games in the NFL when you get that kind of productivity from your wide receivers.
Yeah. And as far as you talked about Booty catching that ball. So would you? I mean, I wouldn't. I'm not going to go so far. I'm not going to say he's a 1.
No, absolutely not.
But what do you make of him? Because I mean, I'll tell you what, he's definitely look. This is an NFL wide receiver, Mark.
He's an NFL wide receiver, Chris. If you put a guy like Malik Nabers or one of those guys on the other side of him, listen, he'd be a solid, probably number 2 for you. High 3-2. He would be probably a solid 2 for you if you gave, because he is a professional NFL wide receiver. If you gave him a real number 1, if you gave him some young athletic tight ends that could also stretch the field, Booty could be a good solid 2 receiver, Chris. But you don't have athletic tight ends. You don't have a number 1 wide receiver on this team. You're limited as to what you got in that room.
Yeah. So overall, then, what's your overall grade? I hate grades. Oh God, what's your overall take on this offense today? Just today, especially Chris, from last week.
Today, Chris, I will give them.
You are going to give a grade.
I'm going to give a grade. I'm going to give them
333 total yards, by the way.
I'm going to give them an A-. Not perfect. They made, like you said, he missed Henderson across the end zone. But I'm going to give him an A-, Chris. I thought it was a much better performance. A-, B+, and I'm only say that because of the penalties on the offensive line.
Yeah.
They still got stuff they got to clean up, Chris. So maybe even a B+. Probably even a B+, just because the offensive line has stuff they got to clean up. But a much better performance.
That's what I'm giving him to. I'm giving him a solid B+ in that range. If I had to give a grade, which I think
if I had to give a grade,
we had to. But 333 total yards. They ran the ball well. They threw the ball well when they were able to get the play off without having any holding calls, any false stop penalties, anything like that. But I think the offensive line, and I'm really encouraged. And the last thing I'll say, I'm really, really encouraged at the fact that the offensive line is not being mentioned. They're coming together. So
and I'd give Drake May, Chris, probably an A today. I don't know about you.
Yeah.
I'd give him an A today.
I for sure do that because I mean, he had a calm game. Everything we talked about. He was composed, he comfortable, he was decisive, he knew where he wanted to go with the ball. He moved around well in the pocket. So again, offensively, look, if this is the kind of performance they're going to have every week, taking some of these penalties away, I think they're going to win. They're going to be more successful than not more often. if
Chris,
that
they
happens.
expected when you score that many points on offense, you expect you'd be okay. Your defense is that you spent all that money on. I want to get to the defense. Spent a lot of money on defense, Chris. We're going to talk about their performance today.
And we're going to do that coming out of the other side. Final score of this one's 33-27. Patriots go down to Miami, win that game. When we come back, going to go into the defense and so much more. Your calls, Sunday stiff, Sunday spread, no flipping.
No one ever thinks they will be in need of a criminal or traffic lawyer, but things happen. CORSO Law Group is Arizona's leading criminal and traffic law firm. Call or go online to CORSOLawGroup.com and talk with these expert attorneys.
Good plays, and we had some plays we would like to have back. Again, it's a lot of it. As long as the operation is good, there's no perfect play. There's good calls. There's no perfect call. It's about getting it in there. The players understand it, and we've made adjustments to things that they're doing, and then it gives them a chance to succeed. So we weren't scrambling. I didn't feel at any point in time. You could look at the other side, and they had the delays late in the game. They had different things that backed them up that really helped us. And so our ability to get a call in and keep our composure and be ready to go, and again, just keep making them earn it and get the drive stopped. And eventually that was our big key for us defensively. And we got the drive stop. We got the one stop that we needed to get stopped.
And that, of course, was Mike Vrabel post-game, back in with more Pats Nation, the only Patriots post-game show worth watching. Okay, let's go to that side of the ball now, okay? Now this is where we're going to probably get really irritated. So I want to talk about the defense, and I want to throw special teams in there too. But going in the first half of this game, okay, the total, it wasn't terrible except for that last drive.
Yeah.
Before the half. But they went into the half 165 yards allowed, 117 for out of Tua, and not much rushing the ball, 48 yards, and it was a 15-14. But it started, to me, the collapse was late in the second quarter to pretty much, they got the sacks at the end of the game, but I think that was more about Miami. Mark, this defense, to your point, spent a lot of money. Milton Williams, they've paid Bondmore. They brought in Landry. Spillane, who was awful today.
Oh, I was going to say he was terrible.
And then to say nothing about the back end. Rate their performance today.
The defense, Chris, listen. They got lucky that the running back, Achin, steps out of bounds, cutting back across the field. Otherwise, the Dolphins take the lead. You don't make that last stop on that pass out of the backfield to the running back. Spillane, Chris, was beat all day long by running backs catching the ball out of the backfield. He couldn't make a tackle. They just ran by him. He looked like he was flat-footed. He struggled today. And the defensive line themselves, Chris, until late in the third quarter, in the fourth quarter, and I guess let's give them credit. They did it when the game was on the line, but they got no pressure on Tua. And then Landry got some pressure. Milton Williams made that sack at the end. They got some pressure later in the third quarter, in the fourth quarter, which they needed. But up to that point, Chris, you had mentioned this to me in the first half. You said, Mark, they overcompensated. They blitzed too much last week. This week, they're not blitzing at all. Like, what are they doing? Like, it was an overcompensation, you said to me.
Yeah, they sat in zone a lot, and it just gave up the middle of the field so much. And to your point, that Achin had 192 yards catching the ball. He had 8 receptions for the 92. So they allowed over 100 yards of total offense receiving to the running backs, tight ends, and all of that. And
that team doesn't even have any tight ends, Chris. It's all running backs.
It's all running backs. And so there was just gaping holes in the middle of that defense. And we've been talking about the middle of this goddamn defense for years now. Come down on those other linebackers we had, like Bentley and Tavai and these guys. Duggar started the game. My guess is they needed more of a box safety presence for the middle of the field stuff versus over the top. But yeah. I didn't show up to me in this. And
later in the game, Chris, they put Mapu out there, I think, to try to help with it, right?
Yeah.
Hey,
And
let
he
me
was
put this
terrible
and
too.
get this call right away from Phoenix, Arizona.
Go ahead.
Go ahead, keep on going. Tell us that point you're making.
We get a caller on the line, Joe?
Dolphins. The Dolphins are good, but the Patriots are awesome. Defense looks really good. Like at the end, but the start they weren't so good. But if they didn't replay catch that the Dolphins were out of balance, then it would just be bad for us.
I'd say so.
What's his team? What's on the defense?
Thank you for the call. I didn't catch the name. I just heard Phoenix, but thank you. Thank you for the call.
Thank you for the call.
And he's right in talking about that. If they didn't step out of his assessment on every single point is correct.
Absolutely correct.
But and stepping out of bounds there. I mean,
Zachary from Phoenix.
Zachary,
Okay,
thank you for the call. We appreciate that, Zachary. And he's right. I mean, look. Yeah, I mean, I wonder how that game goes down if he doesn't step out of bounds towards the end.
Yeah.
But Mark, I mean, you look.
And then I'm saying to myself, when that happened, Chris, I was like, well, Jesus, maybe they would have been better off if he did score. Because now if Miami goes down and scores, we'll have no time left to come back. But anyway, everything worked out.
But how does it end up, Mark, that Tua throws for 300 yards in this game, or 297 or whatever it was? He's 26 of 32, 8 per catch.
Hey,
Or
Chris,
8
I
per,
will say
8 per
this.
pass.
You brought this up to me numerous times during the day, the game. You said, Mark, Hill?
And so I said 208, it's 97. He threw for 315 yards. Go ahead.
And Mark, and Chris, you said to me, Mark, watch a couple of these plays. Waddle's wide open. Hill's wide open. He just missed them. He overthrew Hill on one. Waddle's open. He panics, runs out the backside. He probably should have sat in the pocket because Waddle comes wide open. We even caught a couple of breaks because Tua is bad. So the defense, Chris, it could have even been worse.
It's just another week of big plays.
Yes.
And that's the other thing, too. You get them into third and long situations, and they're completing it. They're getting whatever they want. And it was always down the middle of the field. It was always in the center of the field. It was either backers that couldn't sink underneath the crossers or the sit downs, or it was safeties just sitting flat foot in the back end, were unable to come forward, get up on people, and make it a contested catch or take balls away or bat the ball down or do something like that. They just weren't. They sat in their zone, and they just allowed them to find the holes in the zone, and they would never react. The trigger steps from the safeties, and I'm talking Woodson, all of them. Anyone who's out there playing safety today, Hawkins,
Chris,
Woodson. Their trigger steps, coming forward, were terrible, just horrible.
Did they play a lot of zone because Gonzalez wasn't on the field today? Against
Maybe
Waddle and Hill.
And I couldn't see if did Davis come back in that game. I know he went out.
Yeah, he came back.
Yeah, so
he came back.
I don't know. I mean, I guess they were so concerned about the deep ball, downfield stuff, and the big plays they were giving up last week, and a lot of the man stuff that they did. Again, I just thought it was a huge overcorrection again. I just thought, okay, last week you blitzed the hell out of the Raiders. And then you come into this game and everything, you're just sitting off. And by the way, and I'll talk about this in a second with our front four, okay, that we have a problem with our front four, in my opinion. But the center of that field, it's an issue. It continues to be an issue. They can't cover tight ends. They can't cover running backs. I mean, okay, give it to them. Tip of the hat. I mean, I know it sounds like we lost today,
we won.
In what we're talking about. But, you can't ignore it. And then you can't ignore the tackling. I thought Spillane had a terrible game
today. I just been waiting I've been waiting to just say, Chris, what is your defensive coach? What the hell are they doing? I never played football, but I could see Mapu so many times. What's this spin around? They go for the waist and spin around and never tackle him. What is that? What is that play? I don't understand that.
It's just targeting. It's all they do is target. meaning like they just come up and want to just throw a shoulder into somebody. Don't wrap. Don't put your arms around them. Don't roll them up. Don't none of it. No near hip, no near shoulder, no wrapping, no rolling, no nothing. I mean, that if I'm teaching people how to how to not tackle, I'm going to show them Spillane's video today. Okay? Because that play in the middle of the field for everybody to see. When he came up and he threw a shoulder into whoever the hell it was he was trying to tackle, and that dude just went by. He just, bounced off and went by. No wrap, no arms in the tackle.
Nothing.
He dove. His feet went flat and dead behind him, and he just threw a shoulder into him, bounced right off. And and then the next time he did it, the same thing. He stands it up and he's looking at his hands. He's looking at his hands. What's the matter? What's wrong with your hands? Yeah, they're there. Use them. Wrap them up. Mark, the tackling wasn't good. On the back end. Nothing on the back end to me today was good.
No, nothing on the back end was good. Like you said, they tried to bring Duggar in.
Defensive backs.
Coverage. Davis didn't look good. None of them looked good, Chris. But the kid Woodson, he didn't show me much today either. Safety, Chris, has been a position of need for several years. You've been screaming since McCourty started to, get a little long in the tooth and get a little old. And they haven't never really addressed it. Belichick addressed it. He wanted to play box safeties. I mean, this is only Vrabel's first year as head coach, but they didn't really, they took Woodson, but they really didn't address that center field in the draft.
No, they haven't bothered with the safety since, like you said, McCourty left. I mean, it's been an ignored position.
And it
for
showed
years.
Today, Chris. It showed today.
Yeah, and it's going to continue to show week in and week out. You think it showed today? It's going to show next week too.
And next week, you're going to play a team that's got a decent receiving core again. Listen, even though he's old and at the end of his career, Rodgers is better than Tua next week. So you're going to have to figure something out, Chris. Gonzalez better come back next week, I hope.
Well, the big plays, too. This is the thing. The big plays. And Vrabel talked about that after the game.
Yeah, we'll have to do better. And we won't be the only team that they get explosive plays against. And
boy, he's an apologist for this defense,
I know that. I understand that. But
they didn't get any last week.
There were times where we took away those throwing lanes, and there were times that we certainly didn't. And I told you that we had to be willing to give up some of those plays outside the numbers. And so I told the team that that was what going in, that we were going to make them hit them, and they probably hit too many. But again, we'll be okay.
So that was Mike Vrabel after the game talking about
Chris,
the big
you're
plays.
right. You want to talk about being apologetic for your defense.
This is the second week in a row now where you're coming out into the press and you're basically saying, we got to do better, but we did the things we needed to do and we needed to do them and all that. And we got the sack at the end. And yes, they did. They made the plays at the end. Bullshit. But Tua wet down his leg on that last drive.
Come on.
I mean,
they had back-to-back. They had, they had an offside. They had a delay a game. Yeah, Miami wet themselves on that last drive.
And look, everyone out there, I want to be positive too. We won the game. We got Cap for Life writing in, talking. This is the turning point. The rest is the future. Movement has begun in Miami. So no, listen, be happy for the win. We'll take the wins when we can get them. We don't get them a lot, right?
I'll take the win. There's no question about it.
I want to be positive about it. I do. But we also have to point out the obvious in these things too. You got to take the penalties away. We're going to get the coach's corner coming out of break next and talk about that a little bit. Some of the penalties. We want to talk about some of the special teams. The last thing I'll say before we break is, are you concerned about the front four getting pressure alone? Because the times that they got some pressure today, a couple of times at the end, and I thought it was severe breakdowns by Miami's offensive line. But when they decided to bring pressure is when they got the two of some. Is this team going to be able to get to the quarterback with four like we paid them to do?
They haven't shown it yet, Chris. And listen, I am going to say this to you before we go to the break. Miami had some offensive linemen out today, injured too. So you weren't playing against their full starting lineup either. And you struggled to get to them with four. So that's something we're going to have to watch, Chris. That's a good point. That's going to be something to watch as we move forward. Because if you're going to continue to blitz to get pressure, if you don't get there with a blitz, your back end's really going to get exposed more than it even is.
Yeah. So I mean, they did get 5 sacks today, right? They got 5 sacks, which is fantastic. All of them, I think 2 or 3 of them came at the end, which is when they needed them. So maybe we can build on it. Maybe you're right out there, Cap, and saying, look, this is the turning point. I hope it is. Let's see. But we got to talk coaching. We're going to do that when we come back. But this Weekly Rewind was presented by CORSO Law Group, CORSOLawGroup.com. When we come back, we're going to talk Coach's Corner and our Sunday Stiff. No flipping.
No one ever thinks they will be in need of a criminal or traffic lawyer, but things happen. CORSO Law Group is Arizona's leading criminal and traffic law firm. Call or go online to CORSOLawGroup.com and talk with these expert attorneys.
Back in with more Pats Nation, the only Patriots postgame show worth watching. All right, guys, let's get into some of this coaching. Now we can really get irritated about all these penalties. Joe?
Coach's Corner.
All right, Mark, let's start there. 12 penalties, 75 yards. We got to talk about the special teams too, but let's talk about the penalties first. Does the offensive penalty bother you more than the defensive penalties? I mean, because those really piss me off. The penalties on offense.
Offensive penalties, Chris, were I mean, how do you move, Moses and the offensive penalties definitely pissed me off more than the defensive penalties, because those are things, Chris, that's just that's like a lack of concentration. You know what I mean?
Yeah. And again, I don't have the breakdown yet. We'll have it when we come on next week. I'll have the breakdown as to how many penalties on offense, how many penalties on defense. We came on, I didn't get those numbers, but it just seemed to me like offensively, for a coach that keeps talking about, okay, we have to take advantage of bad football. We have to be able to take advantage of bad football. Well, that implies what? That you gotta play good football, meaning clean football.
You haven't the first 2 weeks.
When he talks about take advantage of bad football, is that kind of thing. Penalties. And they had their own. I mean, they had 10 of them of their own. So how the hell are you going to take advantage of bad football on other teams when you're playing these crappy teams if you're going to commit 12 penalties? I mean, drive killers, always. You're putting your young quarterback in a bad spot, long yardage situation. And then on defense, when you're getting off the field, now you're getting a penalty, and so many of them were on special teams, Mark. How do you fix that?
Special teams, Chris, was bad today. It wasn't so great. Well, it was bad until Gibson ran the touchdown back, and then it got better, right? But other than the Gibson run back, we gave up a run back. We missed 2 extra points again. Granted, he hit the 53-yarder, but the field goal kicker, that's on the coaching staff. I still say they kept the wrong kicker. The penalties, listen, when we previewed this game, Chris, and we were talking about it on CORSO and CATONE, not Pats Nation, but on CORSO and CATONE yesterday and Saturday, I said, look at his last 2 years in Tennessee. They were the highest penalized team in football under Vrabel.
Yeah. Yeah. No, they weren't a disciplined team at all.
He comes here, and it seems like that's continuing here. 12 penalties. What did they have last week? 10, 9, 10, but not okay. So
21 penalties in 2 weeks.
If he keeps that rate up, Chris, he's gonna have the highest penalized team again in football.
Got to be up there right now in the league.
Of course he does.
Well, we're not alone. We have Jen, who's on the phone from Cranston. Jen, what do you got?
Hi, guys. This is Jen from Cranston. I'm actually at the airport flying during your show. But I wanted to call in. So Vrabel should be ashamed of himself. More than 10 penalties in this game, and the special teams sucked again. To say nothing about how bad the secondary looks. What happened to take advantage of bad football? Yeah, that means you have to play good football. I'm so sick of this suck-bag team. Thanks, guys.
Wow.
Jen, thank you for that call.
She just brings it, don't she?
You can rely on Jen always to bring a good take. Jen, they won the game.
Maybe did she realize what the final score was?
They won the friggin' game, Jen. God, you know, the
She's flying out. She couldn't take it.
She on the suck bag team. She got on a plane. She's so disgusted.
Oh my God.
No, to her point though, look, I know it's good. I know people are gonna look at it and say, okay, you got the Gibson 99-yard or whatever it was, touchdown,
whatever it was. Yeah.
the run back. And that's gonna overshadow a lot of the bad.
Yeah.
Okay, of what took place in special teams today. But up to that point, I mean, let's not forget they had just allowed a punt return for a touchdown.
Yeah.
So he got, you kicks a 70-yard punt. He out-kicks his coverage when he was awful last week, Behringer. And now you out-kick your coverage. You get a run back for a touchdown. Now we follow it up with that. So I don't want that touchdown to overshadow the day that special teams unit had. I mean, first of all, the kicker, Mark. Like, this is why, to me, and I was talking to the other day, a pro, retired pro kicker, okay? And
the kicker will remain nameless, but Chris wants to buy the guy a freight ticket instead of the Patriot place.
He retired in 2015. And he was an all-pro in 2010, so you people can look it up so you know who he is. And they only choose one. So I said, hey, get on a plane, will you please, and go knock on one Patriots place and start kicking for the if Prater can do it in Buffalo, you can do it. But he was telling me how he watched Borgalis in Miami kick. And he saw that. He saw that inconsistency throughout with him. That he would be inconsistent at times in practices and things like that. And, it was the easy stuff that he had trouble with, which is what we're seeing.
Yeah.
Extra points. Last week, a 40-yard field goal attempt. He misses, but he hits a 53.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, I don't know what you do with that.
The 53 bailed him out, I guess, today.
I don't know how that can bail you out. You can't miss 2 extra points. This is absurd. You missed 2 extra points this week. Last week you missed a 40-yard field goal, which was important in that game. And there's
They don't even have anybody. Did they even have another kicker on the roster on the practice squad?
No, but I think if it continues this way next week, I think you may see somebody come in. Like you said, he hit that 53-yard or so. That probably saves him from any competition he's going to have to deal with, this week coming in. But just outside of the kicker, just the penalties. My God, it just seemed like holding. And on kickoff returns, then there was a play by Gibson for as good as it was. Again, the kickoff return for a touchdown, excellent. But that bonehead play on the sideline, not allowing it to go out of bounds right before the half, there was 30 seconds on the clock. We had timeouts. And they kicked off to us after scoring that touchdown to make it 15-14. I don't know if anybody noticed this, but when they kicked off to us, Gibson touched the ball without being out of bounds, so that's where the ball was played there at that spot at like the 10-yard line, instead of allowing it to go out of bounds and getting the ball on the 45-yard line with 30 seconds left, 2 timeouts. Come on, you can get it to field goal range there. Well, I mean, not this guy, but
Chris. And then after Gibson,
those are the little things when you're a team that has to win on the margins. This is what you need,
Chris. And after Gibson's touchdown. On the kickoff return, our kicker misses the target area. He doesn't put it in the target area, and the ball goes to the 40.
It puts him on the 40-yard line. Yeah.
Again,
it's so.
We didn't even bring that up. I mean, we're lucky that we survived that. We gave him perfect position to go back down the field.
There's a lot of stuff they need to clean up with the special teams department and on defense as well. And again, this is, to me, that's all on coaching. How before we get to our Sunday stiff and spread and seat. So we understand that has to, and that to me, that's Vrabel right there. I know they're special teams coordinator. That's all coaching. McDaniels today. Look, I thought it was an even game. I thought he had a good mix of run to pass, especially early on in the game, and did things to get Drake May comfortable. What did you see?
No, I thought McDaniels, Chris, had a much better game than last week. He did do things to get Drake comfortable. He balanced. He ran the ball. They had a good balance of run, pass.
Yeah,
when
29 running attempts, 23 passing attempts.
Yeah, When he called a run, when he called a pass, I think it was much more balanced. The key, Chris, I think in McDaniel's day was settling May in early. He got him comfortable early, got him some confidence, and that set May up for the rest of the game. And I think that was really the important thing that McDaniel's did today.
And I don't think he simplified it. Like
No.
this whole stuff about is there too much on his plate? I mean, you and I really didn't really subscribe to that either. Our whole thing was let the kid cook and let him use his athletic ability to get him comfortable in the game, because that's the way this kid needs to play. So he's going to do those kinds of things in order to get him in that flow of the game, which is what happened. But I don't think they changed anything up. I don't think he took anything off his plate. I still think he was setting protections, and I think he did a good job at pass pro. Drake May. I think he put him in and out of plays really well. So I think McDaniels did a good job in his play call or the concepts he was giving them out there of what to do.
He did. McDaniels had a much better game today. McDaniels was, I think, the lone bright spot on the coaching staff today, Chris, in my opinion.
Yeah, because I don't think you can give. Not again. Terrell Williams was out on defense today.
He was out.
He's whatever he has going on and he's dealing with. But I thought the play calling on defense was overly conservative. For as much as it was the other way last week, this way it was an overcorrection. I thought it was overly conservative. I didn't think you needed to be in a zone as much as you were, or get a little more creative in how you're bracketing some of these receivers there, and as to how the pressure packages would look. I think so I think there's a lot to improve on there, and Vrabel's going to have to focus a little bit more on that side of the ball now, I think,
Yeah,
so
I do too.
So overall, I mean, offensively, a good coaching day. I think a good day all around. Defensively, they have to get back to the drawing board. There's things that they're going to need to do.
Got to clean it up on defense.
Got to clean it up. Now, next week, look, when you play Aaron Rodgers and company, he's a guy who's not going to move around. So your pressure packages should look a lot better next week.
They should. And Pittsburgh lost this week, so Pittsburgh's coming off a loss. I believe they lost this week.
Yeah, I didn't see it. So
I think they did. I think they got beat. So they're coming off a loss. So
Yeah. So we'll see what happens. Now, let's get to our Sunday stiff. First of all, why don't you tell everybody what this means? Sunday.
Chris, it's terrible. That pissed you and I off that we're gonna call out as what they stunk.
Who's your Sunday stiff this week?
My Sunday stiff this week is our kicker, Borealis. Terrible. He's my Sunday stiff.
I mean, for all the points that we've already made as to why. So I'll go another direction. I want to say Spillane. I thought Spillane had a bad game. I didn't see him do very much right out there. I thought the middle of the field was wide open. If I'm going to give Tavai and those guys all the crap I've given them, then I'm going to give it to Spillane, because the middle of that field, it was like a 7-on-7 drill, and he got lost in coverage. He missed tackles. He wasn't good today. That's my son. Who do you got for a Sunday seat? Who can sit with us at the dinner table today on Sunday dinner? Who played well?
Drake May. I got to give it to Drake. I there's no one else. I got to give it to Drake May today, Chris. He did everything that we said he needed to improve on. He did today. I give it to Drake.
Yeah, I give it to Drake May. Joe, you got any thoughts on that with a Sunday spread or a Sunday seed, a Sunday stiff? You're usually a positive kind of guy, though.
Usually, but this one was one of those situations where they made some big plays. A lot of people came out and did some big things when we needed it, but then also had some real goofball plays. And I think I want to give it to Mapu just because when the announcers had said, when he made that play, like you said, Mark,
it was ugly on the sideline.
It was
that ugly ass play.
It was ugly. And they said, oh, he did the right thing to keep him in bounds. And I was like, no, he just missed the tackle. That's what happened. And so the interception, any credit, it's bad tackling is still apparent. And I give him the Sunday stiff.
All right.
Well, hey, listen, that interception's thrown right to him. So, I mean, you hope
it was thrown right to him. He was just there.
Yeah. So, I don't blame you.
It goes to Drake May. I'm with you guys as well.
I'm the same. You got to give it to Drake May. He had a great game today. Bounce back game. Listened to a lot of crap all week long about being over his head, basically. And I thought he came back, and I thought he played well. I thought the offense as a whole came back and performed really well and did what they needed to do to win this game. if they can cut the penalties out, that'll even be better. So, guys, good one. Listen, live post-game show. I thought we did a pretty good job, guys.
Considering we haven't done one in a couple of years.
Few glitches, but we appreciate all the callers that called in, all the comments that were made. Thank you for that. But the Pats Nation post-game show was presented by Corso and Catone, the real deal New England feel, Saturdays, noon Eastern. Hey, next week we're going to have a replay of this show. So if you missed our post-game show and our analysis, make sure you're tuning in at noon next week on YouTube, iHeartRadio, Apple Podcast, anywhere you podcast, you can pick us up. And then come back next Sunday to the Pats Nation, 8 to 9 a.m. Eastern. We're going to have our pregame breakdown of the Patriots-Steelers game, our first look at the Steelers. We are the first pregame show of the day, so make sure you're sticking around and tuning in for that. Final score of this one, 33-27. Patriots beat the Miami Dolphins. We are the Pats Nation. Enjoy the rest of your Sunday.